Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Alchemy Within from Out Amongst the Stars. Thanks for being here this week of June 26, 2023. We're going to just chat about a few of the things that are taking place in the sky for this week until July 2nd and see what is coming up for all of you. It's a very Cancerian week, and we just had the summer solstice. But before we get started, so there is a opportunity for you to get a reading, and there's a couple of ways if you want to do it really quickly and get a great price. I have a special on because it was my birthday on the new moon, and so for $44 you could get a 40-minute reading, and it doesn't even just have to be a reading, because I am also an emotional empowerment coach, and I can help guide you through some of the things that do come up emotionally and just life stuff that we have to work through as these transits take place and all of the changes in the world. So absolutely reach out. I will put the link for the for me to touch base with you. And also you can have an opportunity to win a free reading if you put a comment and you subscribe and like the video, and you can start with "I am grateful for," and then you get entered into the draw. So every 44 people I will choose a reading to give to someone through a random draw. So yeah, that's the I guess the intro, little housekeeping stuff, or the opportunities to get in touch with me. I will also have my email and any information below, so you can contact me, and always donations are welcome. And so is some action with the channel so we can keep going. So anyway, here we are, the week of June 26, 2023. So we just had the new moon last week, and then at that time was when our sun entered into the sign of Cancer and left the chatty little Gemini behind. And with that, we then also, as of last night, had Mercury enter Cancer. So now we really, may be in this state of more of a feeling, wanting connection, very emotional, maybe, having a bit of a hard time with words. Everything might feel just a little bit more strong in your body as far as like what you want to say, but it might not have the words for. So yeah, so that, like, as of 6:23 Mountain Standard Time last night, Mercury had gone into the sign of Cancer. So we will be taking this, planet that's usually very communicative and talking and all about thinking and writing and the messenger and the jack of all trades and here and there and the jokester and the fun, loving, playful energy of Gemini. And it might not feel exactly like that when you have that Mercury go into Cancer. Cancer, of course, is the sign that is more to do with the mother and the nurturing and the emotional state. It can allow you to be, adapt, and it also, what may happen with that Mercury in there is that it follows the moon. So every 2.5 days, our moon changes sign, and you might find that as your the sign comes up, that's when your emotions actually change as well. That just, you might be flowing along with that moon cycle a little bit more with the changing signs, because the Mercury is in the sign of Cancer. So yeah, it'd be something to kind of take note of. You might be feeling a lot more sensitive and nurturing and empathetic and warm and more receptive, and of course the Cancer likes to connect with family and be more of a go and have some great food and a cup of tea and visiting and listen and chat about, feelings and emotions with friends and family, and do things that, in a space, in a place that make you really feel safe and secure. Cancer loves that feeling of protection, right? So they're definitely more intuitive. You may be getting more intuitive hits as well. And they are a lot more concerned with the home and family matters, and not as much about words. So there might be a lot more emphasis on, what you love, or romantic feelings, or, having that connection, and finding more grace with, nurturing your people around you that you love, and showing more signs of affection. So yeah, so as you can see here, this is what the Cancer sign looks like. I put it in the first house. It doesn't really matter where it is, because this is just a general current chart. And so as you see, the sun's already gone now to 5 degrees, because we have been in it, since last week. And then the Mercury has just entered at 1 degree there. It will move quite quickly through the sign there. And also with the Mercury and the sun had already passed through this opposition to Pluto. And also seeing, that little wider square now still with Neptune, because the new moon that was in Gemini here had that square with Neptune. So then we bring in that Neptune energy as well. So carrying on from there, I just wanted to kind of go back and make sure you, for any beginners, knew what the Cancer looked like. And so the Cancer also, just so you know, is ruled by the moon, okay, which is all of our emotional body, essentially. So as we carry on, talking about the Mercury just entering into there, so we will tend to be, a lot more emotional. And maybe it's a time you want to chat more about feelings with those that you're connected to as well. It's and that might be a good time also if you are looking for somebody to work through emotions with. That's why I mentioned my other work as well in the beginning of this video. But even with friends, people who have Mercury in Cancer, they tend to be able to really put the emotion to the words, so they can be wonderful poets and wonderful songwriters and that sort of thing. And they're able to convey their emotion in writing a lot better as well. So you may want to also take in some journaling, and it might be another great way that we are now in this Cancer season, which is our summer season in the Northern Hemisphere. I know it's in the Southern Hemisphere, it's winter there now, but under the light of the sun in our real summery, I know our days are now going to be getting progressively just a little bit shorter, but also in the light of the sun to start writing out some of those things that have been bottled up emotionally. Because what happens is, if you don't release that emotionally, charged things that happen to us, it just accumulates, and in the body, it accumulates in the nervous system. So we always have to find ways to work through our emotions. The emotions are more what leads to the disease than anything often that is considered to even be genetic in lots of ways. It's a matter of how do we process all the things that we encounter in our lives, which we're all going to encounter things in a different way, and we all have different ways that we process and deal with the emotions. So we could talk more about that in a one-on-one. But this opposition to Pluto, and even though it's within 4 degrees now with the sun, but the Mercury being there, it basically brings it around again, that we are just going through some integration of what has to be transformed. So whatever things have been coming up in our mind, and ways that we emotionally need to shift in order to carry forward in this life that we are now living in, because we have, Pluto in Capricorn now, back in Capricorn at the end degree, which is always that, strong final degree type of energy, with an inconjunct that's requiring adjustment. And it will go back into Aquarius in January. But right now, while we dipped in retrograde back into Capricorn, we really have to look at how we're going to integrate this new world once Pluto, because this is a 20-year cycle once it goes into there. And that's a whole new energy than all of our systems and structure and corporate and government and all the things that that bring us a lot of form and top-down energy. This going into Aquarius will be different. But at the same time, as we transform, we can be very empowered with that Pluto energy shifting. It can feel so intense and so overwhelming, and we know something has to change. And sometimes parts of us, our inner parts that we have formed, work through emotions or protect us, have to be transformed, have to be brought up to the light so that we can really empower ourselves, so not to be stuck in any kind of low vibration of that guilt and shame and victimhood, and can be very empowering to move us through the emotional scale, to get out of our way of whatever is blocking everything that we really truly want in this life. And it's going to look a little bit different than the life that we've had since Pluto went into Capricorn in 2008. And so we have this 6 months going forward, of course, to sort of look at that and transform and change and see what comes up. But it can allow us to productively move it in a different direction, so we can overcome some of these challenges that we've been faced with. And and also it can help us feel like some really great accomplishment when we actually do shift into a more empowered place of doing what our soul is calling us to do, which is really what astrology is telling you, right? It's the blueprint of what we were born with. And it can manifest in all kinds of different ways, the archetypes and the energies and how they come together. But how it comes together in your chart is very unique to you. And there can be a lot determined just, from the basics, just from knowing where your sun and your rising are, which this is first house in your own birth chart with your own birth time, where that was on the east. And then you can find out where your midheaven is, which is right over top of your head when you were born. It's like the high noon, and it tells you your direction, that helps with career path and your legacy and how you're known out in the public. And then we can look at, family roots, and then your dynamics of relationships as well. So it tells you a lot of things, even if it can manifest in a couple of different ways. So as we talk more about the Cancer energy, of course, it's from June 21st until July 22nd is the Cancer season, and ruled by the moon. It also rules all of the feminine energy, divine feminine, and therefore the body parts of the breast, the ovaries, the testes, the hands, and the stomach. I know because Cancer is a very emotional sign, there's a lot of times that Cancerian people really struggle with their gut health and basically their stomach, and may manifest some stomach issues when their emotions are really strong. And sometimes it can be part of the liver, but essentially the whole archetype around Cancer is, I feel, and they do have to have a lot more, nurturing, a lot more, they're a lot more of a sensitive sign, and also can be extremely intuitive and psychic, really very intuitive. And they just have an innate knowing that they feel often a Cancer, like people with strong Cancer, and sometimes it's not just sun, it's rising sign Or for instance, I have Mars in Cancer, and I will say 100% when I want to take action on something, which is your outward energy of Mars, I have to feel it. I have to feel that it's safe to do so. I just have an inner kind of feeling of whether it's the right time to take action on something. And I also have to have stuff that kind of starts my day that feel good in order to take that action. Like if my feelings have been, rocked because of a bad start to a day, that outward initiating energy just is not there. Like I have a hard time getting it there. So I have to make sure it always, feels good because of my Mars in Cancer. And there is a little bit of a sense of indirect action with Cancer. They move side to side, right? So, okay, so sometimes, the Mars there, it can be that passive aggressive. But with the sun and the rising sign there and your moon, it just allows people to really feel deeply, really feel a lot of emotion, really sensitive to other people, really sensitive to the environment. They can feel the vibe in the room, and they can take on sort of, what that vibe is, and sometimes know intuitively then what to do. And they can even feel that, at a distance. And when somebody's not being truthful, they can just tell in their gut instantly if there's something off, and they just have knowing about people or about their circumstances or about a room, or if somebody's being superficial or putting on a facade. And they don't really like that sort of chit chat, because they just kind of know when something feels a little bit off, right? And then they want to ask questions and find out. Lots of times you find that's why the Cancers are the caretakers, because they just want to take care of and help people feel better. And they'll often be the really good nurturing caregivers that want to just help people feel better in any kind of regard. And often they will take those roles on with their work. And so it's really important for them for their self-confidence and courage to move forward, for people to have a lot of self-love. And in order to have self-love, you have to have that self-acceptance. So this might be a really great time also to tap into your inner mother and start to nurture those parts of you that we form for protection, and that inner child in all of us, and the different archetypes that have come about because you are protecting your true soul, your true self in times of need, that sometimes need that nurturing, sometimes need that conversation, sometimes you need to write about it, and and potentially then burn it, or just help that inner child part or that other part that's been formed in order to as a mask, or something just had come up that it helped you feel safe in the past that really has nothing to do with now, and start to integrate that into wholeness, and finding that unconditional love for yourself and who you truly are. And sometimes we haven't been brought up to allow ourselves to be who we truly are, because we have a whole different environment in our upbringing. I know that was true for me. So it's about connecting with your inner mother. It's about connecting with the divine mother, and also connecting with spirit, and also the earth mother, and finding ways to nurture yourself. And lots of times Cancerians love to also hang on to nostalgia, and they love to learn about their roots and their ancestry, and find out how where they came from, and go back into the lineage. But it's important to know that you were put here in this lifetime as a soul, and using that inner knowing to sort of direct you in what you want to cultivate, and what you're truly meant to be doing in this time and space. So also on, yesterday, there was on the 26th of June, there was another really strong transit that could have manifested in a number of ways, but a Mars square Uranus. So that's that outward energy and can be very combative as well, but also an action taker. And Uranus can be really shocking events. So if there was some explosive emotions that happened, or something that, we can sometimes see in the world as destructive or violent, or it can be victorious, depending on, how that sudden shakeup happened. It might be also a sudden urge of like, that's it, I'm just, going to take action on this and move forward. In this week, we also have Neptune stationing retrograde. So that's for the 30th of June is stationing retrograde, which will bring up a whole bunch of emotion as well. It's the connection to oneness. The Neptune is really watery energy. It's that, if the Cancerian is the lake, the Neptune is the ocean, and it's swimming between both worlds. And sometimes people have a hard time with a lot of, where they're strong Neptune or Piscean energy, even staying really grounded because it is so watery, but they can have amazing imaginations and amazing creativity that flows. So you may find that you are just a lot more emotion because there's just a lot of water in the energies this week. And again, if you're just feeling like you need to talk to somebody, to reach out. So that retrograde, that's a big outer planet shift. I know personally I have Neptune retrograde in my chart. For people who do, that could be a lot more of active energy. And so yeah, it'll be interesting to see how your Neptune retrograde season, which will be for months, that it's in that place and space, and what emotions and it's just finding more compassion for things and people around you as you move through that time as well. So then July 1st, we're like, well, that'll be our Canada Day, and then July 4th, of course, is the big holiday in the US. So it's a big weekend, big long weekend coming ahead. And in that time, we have Mercury, first of all, that will sextile Jupiter, which is a very benefic planet. And then we have the sun sextiling Jupiter in Taurus. So that's a lot of water and earth. And as Jupiter, of course, expands on, wherever it is. So that's in the earth. So we're going to be in that element of very fertile energy to do whatever feels good. Again, more just do what feels good. We're in that season of like, let's just enjoy and, hang out with people and do things that help us feel good. Venus in Leo was going to be trining Chiron too on June 29th. And that can be a very healing, because of that, the trine energy is a nice, easy flow. So that can be a very nice and healing energy. And then Venus in Leo, that the sun, the heart, the courageous one, will square Uranus in Taurus on July 2nd. And that can be really some sudden, unexpected or unusual change. That Venus energy is also very benefic. Squaring adds a little bit of tension and action towards that. And Uranus is just that one that's that sudden awakening, shocking lightning bolt energy. So this could offer like major, like instant psychic downloads, something like in your gut that you just know you got to do, a very innate knowing that's like shocking or comes out of the blue, that could suddenly shake up your world in some sort of a way. But in a really great way with that Venus energy in Leo, where the sun is the ruler of and is all about the heart. So we'll see how that all comes about. Again, it would be great to hear how some of this manifests, for you. And of course, it depends on where it sits in your chart and how your chart is affected. That's my email there to get a hold of me if you need be. But we just I'll go back here. I just wanted to kind of then touch a little bit on what the Cancer sign symbolizes. And, archetypically, as we talked about, that's that nurturing, receptive, domestic, the healer, the homemaker, the emotional, the mother, the one that, wants to help make that home and hearth a very loving and, nurturing and safe and protective place. And, it could be hanging out with your friends. Often people need to recharge by staying at home. If they have a lot of Cancer energy, they need that safe sort of space that feels very protective and nurturing. And they also can, at times when their nervous system has been rocked a little, be moody. Their emotions travel with the moon, which is, changing like you said, every 2.5 days. So, but typically a Cancerian person, or someone with strong energy there, or maybe even just your Mercury there, they love going back into memories. They have an extremely great memory themselves, like kind of like the elephant. And they have to, sort of allow themselves to roll with the ebb and the flow of the tides of the emotions. You have to allow a Cancerian person to have their emotions and let them kind of go up and down. Allow them to cry when they need to cry. Allow them to be angry without trying to shove that down or get them to detach from their emotions, because they feel so profoundly. It is a water sign, of course, and it flows like water, right? It's also a cardinal sign, which is very initiating. It's also important to know, like, the sensitivity that they carry and that kids carry. So, Cancer children are extra sensitive, and they may need to cry more, and you have to allow them to. And, and they need that extra love and care and kindness and attention with that. So when you have the Cancerian children, it's important that you give them that extra attention and give them that extra sort of family time and bonding, finding healthy bonds. Also allowing them to love and care and nurture even their things, even their stuffies, even their animals, or plants, or something. They feel like they always need to take care of something, and that helps regulate their nervous system and give them that place where they can have their own safe things and places that they can go and nurture and recharge all of the emotion that they take on from their environment and others. They need that time. And so it's important to encourage them to have healthy attachment rather than having a detach. So that was Adam at Nightlight Astrology, when he goes through all the different signs of how to nurture children in the different signs. That was a really important part that he made clear. So allowing and encouraging the Cancer children to have some sort of attachment and bond, and they need that in their life. And also mitigating, like if you see that it's just not a healthy one, and that sometimes people aren't going to be there for them to help soothe them all the time, and finding other ways to help them have that own sovereignty to soothe them, self-soothe, and find their own inner mothering to their inner child, and other things to attach and care for, like their pets, or their certain little favorite toys or blankets, or even things around the home, and helping be a part of that. They might love to cook and bake too, so that might be involving them in the kitchen, might be another part of it. So it's just a matter of feeling safe and protected. And so during this time, it's also important for you to be kind to yourself, find self-compassion, have some forgiveness and radical acceptance of what's happening. We are in a really transformative time. And, we dipped in and we got a little taste of this, major Pluto transition from Capricorn into Aquarius in the spring here for a few months, and now it's back here, but we're going into a whole different kind of energy in this world. So it's a matter of like, what are you feeling you want to bring into this world? What are you feeling you want to do? Or what are you feeling that isn't working for you anymore? And how are you going to allow yourself to transform through that time and empower yourself to feel like, okay, you know what? I've had this thing that I wanted to do, and it's time now to do that. And lots of times you can find out, where you're being directed to. Like for me, my whole entire life has changed, and very much about, the sixth house, our day-to-day life. That's where my Cancer house is, and then so definitely and ruled by the moon. Well, where's the moon for me? It's in my Sag in my 11th house, which is with my midheaven. And that is that teaching energy. It's that higher education energy and groups, and showing people a new way of spirituality, or how to connect to that bigger picture. And then the Neptune ruler of my second house, where you make money, and Neptune happens to be in my 10th house, which is all about career, right? So it all kind of flows together. And I did not do that expression of those archetypes in my past. They showed up differently, and maybe all part of my life path showed up very differently. My moon in the Sag house showed up as that bold, outgoing party one, and the Neptune showed up in Scorpio in a whole different industry, which I've talked about in other videos. So yeah, so let's find places and ways to maybe get a journal, start writing, start dialoguing with that inner child if you need be. Feeling like you need to allow yourself some self-nurturing, find some favorite things to put in a real sanctuary place, connect to the earth, connect to nature, and allow yourself to recharge your batteries in the light of the sun, if you're in the northern hemisphere, and really enjoy our best parts of summer here. And if you're more of a Cancerian hermit crab and you just like it quiet and peaceful, well, find that place to do that too, because that's also important too. Some people just really just like to just have that self-care, self-love in a quiet place that's filled with their really nice things and things they love to do, and a nice book, or way that they can write out some beautiful words and emotionally connect. And don't be afraid to share some love and compassion and kindness and nurturing to those around you, and allow all of the warmth of our Cancer emotions and the compassion of all the Neptune energy to come through. And if something has disrupted you, please know that it's just typically for a purpose, because it's time for change. If you're feeling intuitively like you need to take action on something, find that place of courage to do so. And if you need any support, please reach out. That would be lovely. I'm building the channel. So again, just so I can have people talk to live as well. Like, I'd love to do some little mini live readings. I could do even a little 20-minute one if you're interested in that I could post on here. That would help build the channel. Fill out the form that's below, and we can talk about that too, because that would be only basically by donation, really. Just so we could look at one archetype in your chart, one planet, one house. If you got a stellium in a house that you feel really dominated by, we could look at that and help give you some direction. So I thank you all for being here in our week of June 26th, talking about the Cancer and the Neptune and retrograde and these sextiles that we're going to encounter coming up here in beginning of July already. And yeah, that if you're seeing something kind of crazy happen, that is going to shake things up there next week, and you aren't sure what to do with that, please know that is just because that's what's meant to happen for you. That's what Uranus is here, shake things up for us. So again, yeah, thank you for being here, and we will chat with you soon. If you want to reach me, you can at dianacanbyfree@gmail.com. I will put below the form you could fill out if you're looking for a reading, and you can put in the comments, subscribe and like to have that opportunity for a free session of some sort. And I look forward to chatting with you all the next time that we are here at Out Amongst the Stars Astrology. And I appreciate you taking the time to connect and watch. And yeah, if there's anything more that you need, please reach out for questions. So bye for now.